Bianca Belair just lost her Raw Women's Championship, so we'll see what's going on there. We'll also check out what's going on with Randy Orton's status, Trish Stratus versus Becky Lynch, and more. Let's start things off with Bianca Belair. Bianca had spent the past full year as WWE Raw Women's Champion. She first picked the title back up at WrestleMania 38 by defeating Becky Lynch, and would go on to hold it for 420 days until she lost it at Night of Champions. It's the longest title reign in the history of the Raw Women's title, and the overall longest women's title reign in modern history. So, why did it end at Night of Champions, and why is Asuka the new champion? Well, at first, and especially after retaining the title against Asuka at WrestleMania 38, fans thought that Bianca Belair's title was going to be around for the long haul. Long title reigns have actually become a big trending thing in WWE. The Usos recently made history by becoming the longest reigning tag team champions in history before they lost their titles. Gunther's also quickly on his way of possibly becoming the longest reigning intercontinental champion of all time. He just has to pass Honky Tonk Man's 454-day title reign. Then, of course, you have Roman Reigns, who just surpassed 1,000 days as champion, and is starting to creep up into the top few longest WWE title reigns of all time. So, with all these historically long title reigns taking place at the same time, that's what fans assumed Bianca Belair was also being a part of. Some fans thought that Bianca would still hold that title for a very long time and keep the title reign going. But like we saw at Night of Champions, Bianca's title reign shockingly came to an end at the hands of Asuka after 420 days. So why was this the end of the title reign? Well, you gotta remember that WWE just turned Asuka heel a few weeks earlier. Asuka was more of a tweener during her meeting with Bianca Belair at WrestleMania, which ultimately ended up costing Asuka the match because she wasn't as rough as she needed to be. So that loss made Asuka cross the line and truly revert back to her dark side. So now that it was fully loaded heel version of Asuka going up against Bianca Belair, it was a tough situation to be in, because it was basically a must-win for Asuka's character. Asuka recently lost to Bianca Belair and turned heel. So if Asuka would have lost at Night of Champions, it would have made her heel turn seem completely pointless. And where would you even take Asuka from that point on if she was to lose her first big match as a newly turned heel? So that's why Asuka winning was the only real option here. She's aggressively in the ring, and now throw in the fact that she's cheating as a heel, and it was just too much for Bianca Belair to handle, and she lost. So winning the title with her new heel persona and cheating tactics just makes Asuka into a scary new champion that'll be hard to deal with. We'll also see how Bianca Belair plans to address this title loss. We're to assume that she'll get a rematch with Asuka, especially considering the fashion of how that Night of Champions match ended, so that's something we'll have to wait on. Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus' storyline took a massive leap in development due to the Night of Champions match. So during Trish and Becky's first ever meeting, Becky seemed to have everything under control until she was mysteriously attacked by Zoey Stark, who appeared out of nowhere to assist Trish Stratus in the win. Trish and Zoey posed together on the ramp, while Becky Lynch was still trying to figure out what just went down. Turns out that this was all a part of Trish's plan all along. She had Zoey ready to go and already knew she was going to pull this stunt over on Becky Lynch. And this is a very interesting direction because it's something we talked about when this first feud started. And that was the idea of Trish Stratus having her own faction of loyalists and believe Trish is truly the greatest ever. And they want to help her take down Becky Lynch to show their loyalty and support to Trish. And we talked about how it'll be a great plan because it'll allow some new superstars to play a big role in one of the biggest storylines going on in the women's division right now. and really gives them a platform to shine in and make a name for themselves. And it seems like that's exactly what they're doing here now with Zoey Stark. By being thrown into the middle of Trish versus Becky, Zoey now has a great opportunity to make an even bigger name for herself and use this platform to her advantage for her own career. Fans are already theorizing on if Trish will stop with Zoey Stark, or will Trish continue to recruit more of these new superstars in order to create an entire faction and army to help her fight off Becky Lynch? So it's possible that Trish has way more tricks up her sleeve than only Zoey Stark. There's a strong possibility that she has at least another member on the way of joining her. So it'll be interesting to see if they go that route with Trish and Zoey. Maybe there's one hidden last member. WWE has already been doing that sort of style with their factions in recent history. Like the early days of the Judgment Day, they kept slowly adding members to the group, one at a time. So if Trish is slowly forming a faction, maybe she too can reveal her members one at a time. Trish and Becky are rumored to be meeting several more times in the ring together. So there may be some more golden instances for Trish to reveal some more twists. And once the numbers advantage starts to come into play, you do have to ask yourself if Becky Lynch could be bringing in some of her own reinforcements along the way. So it seems like that's what will be going on with this story. It'll either be Trish just having Zoey as her one and only right hand, or maybe there are even more members on the way. But we can definitely expect to see Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus cross paths again a few more times, especially after such a screwy finish at Night of Champions. There's been another new update going around for Randy Orton and his WWE status. So last time we went over Randy Orton's status, it was some comments from his father, Bob Orton, who revealed that Randy's doctors have been advising against a return to the ring, but how Randy will ultimately do whatever he wants and pleases. Well, everything went from appearing negative with that report to feeling much more positive with this new report. According to this new report, Randy's return is not penciled in for this summer, but how his return will still allegedly happen within the calendar year. So again, it's just an early rumor, but it'll be big if it's true that Randy Orton will return in some fashion in some way before the end of 2023. So that could be something to look forward to there. For late 2023, that would be a massive return for WWE. But what are your thoughts on today's stories with Trish Stratus, Becky Lynch, Randy Orton, and Bianca Belair? Leave your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.